Welcome to the Vancouver School Board's Settlement Workers in Schools Conversation Circles. Thank you for volunteering your time to help newcomer parents learn English. First, let's start with some background on this project. The goal was to create a curriculum and materials for conversation circles for newcomer parents. The topics you will see in this curriculum are all suggestions from teachers in the school board, SWIS workers, parents with school-aged kids, and teachers who teach language instruction for newcomers to Canada. Participants will be given access to their handouts before sessions so they can preview and/or prepare for the session. In total, there are 24 units in this curriculum. There is an introductory unit, which was made to introduce the idea of conversation circles and for everyone in the group to get acquainted with each other. The other units fall into 6 main themes: education, community, food, social, parenting, and Canada. Here are the topics that will be covered, just to give you an idea. A lot of the topics are very closely related to school and the issues new immigrant parents might have at school. Let's look at an overview of the lesson plan package. The slides after this will go into more detail about the individual sections, but each unit will follow the same outline. You will always start with some images to go with warm-up discussion questions. Then there will be a few words in the new vocabulary section. You will have simplified definitions for these words to help participants understand them. After this, there will be a short dialogue for participants to read through and practice. The last 2 sections are the focus of this curriculum. There are 3 different role plays with useful language to go with each. They are in order of difficulty. The images, discussion questions, and most of the dialogues are just to set the scene and give participants some background knowledge on the topics or to activate what they might already know. The participant handout has all the same items as the Facilitator package, except for the vocabulary definitions. Each session is 90 minutes long, or an hour and a half. Here are some rough estimates on how much time you might want to spend on each part of the units. Let's take a closer look at the parts of the session. The warm-up. Use this time to see how your participants are doing. Ask them questions like, how are you? What did you do today? How's your week going? Practice some small talk and get them in English mode. This might be the first time they're speaking English all week. Review the useful classroom English phrases they should use. There will be a copy of this for all groups to use. Images and discussion questions. Before your session, take a quick look through the images and discussion questions. Use the images and discussion questions to guide the discussion. Let participants tell you what they see as well as answer the questions. For this section, it would be best to lay out the images on the table so that everyone can see them. There are 4 to 5 pages of images and 4 to 5 discussion questions in each unit. The images are to help participants get ideas for the discussion questions and activate any background knowledge they might have on the topics. Ignore the captions on the images. They are just there for citation purposes, and most have nothing to do with the topic. Vocabulary section. Each unit only has 5 key vocabulary words or phrases. The vocabulary section is for highlighting concepts and to aid with the role plays. The participant handout does not have the vocabulary definitions. Here are some ways you can go over the vocabulary with different levels. For a lower level group, cover the vocabulary and ask students to match the definitions on your sheet to the vocabulary on their sheets. For a higher level group, read out the definitions out of sequence and have students listen and try to figure out which word matches the definition. Then have them make sentences with the vocabulary. If this is too difficult, simply have participants read the vocabulary words as well as the definitions just to make sure that they understand. Depending on the topic, some of the dialogues are more functional and some are more educational. Pause this recording and take a little time to look at the two examples on this page. As you can see, the dialogue between the parent and the school office would be more useful for participants to practice, whereas the dialogue between parent A and parent B is more informative rather than functional. For this section of the conversation circle, have participants read through the dialogue and check for understanding. If participants are uncomfortable or don't want to read, you can have them repeat after you. Review vocabulary and practice pronunciation. It would be more useful to practice repeating the functional dialogues than the educational ones. The educational dialogues are meant to set the scene for the role plays. The role play section is where participants really get to practice the language for each of these topics. Here's an example of a more educational, setting the scene type dialogue. Once you are done going over this quickly, there is no need to practice this particular dialogue again, but rather move on to the related role plays. There are 3 suggestions for role plays along with a useful language section to go with the role plays. They get more difficult as the number gets higher. 1 is the easiest and 3 is the most difficult. The useful language goes with the role plays. For example, for role play number 1, you are at a store and a salesperson asks if you need help. Tell them you are just looking. Useful language number 1. Can I help you? No thanks, I'm just browsing. How can I help you today? I'm okay for now, thanks. Do you need help? I'm just looking. Thanks anyway. If you have lower level participants, you might just do the first role play. That is completely fine. You don't need to go through all of them, just what you have time to do and what participants are comfortable with. Let them work in pairs. Change the pairs for each role play. You should listen and correct mistakes, as well as answer questions. Encourage participants to practice using the useful language sections in their role playing, and you don't have to do all the scenarios. So, to recap, the sessions are 90 minutes or an hour and a half long. The different components were designed to build up and lay a good foundation for participants in terms of language as well as comfort level. It's okay to start slowly and carefully and make sure that everyone is on the same page and ready to learn. This will ensure that they get the most that they can out of the conversation circles. Now that you've seen what the materials look like, here are some other general tips for facilitating conversation circles. Be patient and positive. Using a new language is daunting. The more comfortable your group is, the more they will get out of the sessions. Speak more slowly, not more loudly. Give participants more time to answer questions than you would a friend. It might seem like they don't know the answer or don't want to answer, but they are probably just processing. Wait a few extra seconds. It goes a long way. Be flexible. You don't have to follow the timing and the materials exactly. This is a conversation circle, So it's fine if participants go off the plan as long as it is meaningful for them. You might not get through everything, and that is completely fine. Last but not least, have fun.